What if the storm you're trying to escape isn't around you, but inside your own mind? Why do we feel overwhelmed even when everything seems fine on the outside? Stay with this video, and together we'll explore how timeless Buddhist wisdom can lead you back to a quiet strength already living within you. As the great Buddha once wisely said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." At first glance, it may sound like a simple truth, but in moments when life feels shaky, when the future seems blurred and your heart sinks under invisible weight, it becomes a deep and profound realization. Often, what brings us the most suffering is not the world outside, but the world within. It's not always the situation that drowns us. More often, it's the mind itself, the endless swirl of thoughts, the fears we invent before anything happens, the weight of what if that sits silently on our chest. We replay mistakes, we worry about tomorrow, and somewhere in that storm, we lose touch with peace. In those fragile moments, your mind turns into a battlefield. The true struggle is not with others or with your job or with life. It's with your own thoughts. And that's where Buddhism offers something incredibly rare. Not an escape from the storm, but a way to stand still within it. It doesn't promise that the chaos outside will vanish. Instead, it shows us how to stop being swept away by the chaos inside. Peace, in this tradition, is not something to chase or find in the distance. It's something you quietly return to, a sanctuary deep inside yourself that has always been there. Not broken, not gone, just forgotten. In this video, we'll walk together on a path rooted in ancient wisdom, a path that shows you how to breathe again, how to loosen your grip, and how to stop fighting with your own mind. Take a slow breath with me right now. Inhale, exhale. This is more than air. It's a small return to yourself, a beginning, a moment of coming home. 1. Your thoughts are not always the truth. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is this: your thoughts are not always your friends. That might sound strange. After all, your mind is with you every moment. But the truth is, the mind often plays tricks on us. The Buddha described it as a wild monkey, restless, noisy, unpredictable, leaping from one fear to another, making up stories from pain, past wounds, and insecurities. During challenging times, these stories can get louder than ever. You might hear voices in your head whispering, "You're not enough. You're going to fail. Nothing is working." These thoughts feel so real, so convincing, that they start to shape how we see ourselves. But here's the truth. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Thoughts are not facts. They are habits, mental echoes formed over time. And often they are rooted in fear, not reality. Buddhism teaches us a liberating practice. Instead of believing every thought, learn to observe it. Like watching clouds drift across the sky, you don't have to follow them. You can notice them, let them pass, return to the sky. Imagine this. Some thoughts are heavy storm clouds, some are light and drifting, but none of them are the sky itself. The sky is you, your awareness, your presence, your calm. You are not the storm. You are the space holding it. So when a painful thought comes, you can say gently, "Ah, that's just a thought, not the full truth, not who I am." Take a breath. Let it float by. No reaction needed. This is mindfulness. It's like sitting beside a river, watching the current flow instead of jumping in and getting swept away. And here's what happens when you practice this again and again. The thoughts lose their grip. You no longer panic at every dark cloud, and in the silence between thoughts, something new appears. a quiet confidence, a deeper knowing. That's the strength no fearful thought can destroy. 2. Focus on the present, not the prediction. Why do we worry so much? It's because we mentally abandon the present and run into the future. We start imagining everything that could go wrong. What if I lose it all? What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough? But none of that is happening right now. It's all just a projection, created by the mind. Buddhism gives us a calming reminder. The future doesn't exist yet. The only moment that is real is the one happening right now. This breath, this heartbeat, this space. That's it. The present moment is the safest place you can be. It's where your breath lives. It's where your feet touch the ground. And most importantly, it's where peace is always available. When you come back to this moment, when you stop time traveling in your head, everything starts to soften. Your breathing slows. Your heart eases. You realize that right now, you're okay. You're alive. You're safe. You're not in danger. You're just here. Worry thrives when we get lost in mental movies of what might happen. But most of those stories never even come true. So why live inside them? Instead, practice small returns to the now. Feel your breath. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice your body. Ask, am I okay right now? Can I take one conscious breath? That's it. One breath is enough to ground you in reality. Each time you return to the present, you take power away from the imagined future. You return from fear into peace. And your body knows it. Your nervous system relaxes. Your muscles loosen. You no longer feel like you're drowning in what hasn't happened. You begin to live in what is. 3. You can't control everything, but you can control this. One of the deepest sources of stress in our lives comes from a quiet but constant craving, the desire to control. We want things to go smoothly, to unfold according to our carefully laid plans. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want our hard work to guarantee success. In short, we want life to listen to us. But it rarely does. The weather shifts without warning. A plan we trusted suddenly unravels. People, no matter how close, disappoint or misunderstand us. And when life doesn't follow the script we wrote in our heads, we feel like everything is slipping. So we try to grip harder, plan more, push further, but it only leaves us more exhausted. Buddhism reveals a truth that is both humbling and liberating. The more we try to control everything around us, the more we suffer. Why? Because control is not only unreliable, it's an illusion. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Life works in the same way. Real peace doesn't come from making the world obey us. It comes from turning inward, learning how to work with our own mind, breath, and reactions. This is where our true power lives. So, what can we actually control? We can control our breath, how we inhale slowly when emotions rise. We can control our responses, choosing not to lash out, even when hurt. We can control our mindset, shifting from why me to what can I learn here? We can control our energy, where we place our attention and what we nurture. We can control our actions, doing the next right thing, even in uncertainty. We can control our presence, being fully here instead of lost in what-ifs. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose to stand calmly in the rain. You can't stop others from saying hurtful words, but you can refuse to carry their pain in your heart. You can't guarantee success, but you can give your best effort, stay grounded, and let go of what you can't change. In Buddhism, This practice has a name: equanimity. It's the inner balance that allows you to remain centered even when life feels chaotic. But don't mistake it for giving up. Equanimity isn't passive, it's powerful. It means shifting your focus from trying to control every detail to choosing wise, mindful responses instead. Let's bring it to life with examples. When someone speaks to you with anger, you can choose to pause, breathe, and respond with clarity instead of reaction. When a plan falls apart, you can choose to believe that something better may arise, even if you can't see it yet. When uncertainty shows up, instead of spiraling into panic, you can ground yourself in trust. This doesn't mean it's easy, but the more you practice, the more you realize that true strength isn't about changing everything outside of you. It's about not letting the outside world shake what's within. So when your heart feels heavy or your mind starts racing to fix and control it all, pause. Gently remind yourself, I don't need to control everything. I only need to control how I meet this moment. That's where your real freedom begins, not in changing the waves, but in learning how to surf them with grace. Earlier, we saw how real freedom begins when we stop gripping at control and learn to meet each moment with steady equanimity. That same steady gaze can also transform the way we look at our past, especially the parts we wish had never happened. 4. Your worst days still built you. It's almost instinctive to rewind your life's film and press delete on the scenes that hurt the most. When grief knocked you flat, when failure stung, when disappointment whispered that you were broken, those chapters felt unbearable. In the thick of sorrow or heartbreak, you may have wondered, will I ever stand tall again? Buddhism offers a quiet yet radical answer. Those very moments were not wasted. They became the bricks that built your courage, your empathy, and the deep wisdom you carry now. Picture a tiny seed buried beneath heavy, unyielding soil. At first, the darkness feels suffocating. The weight seems impossible. Yet that pressure is precisely what cracks the shell and awakens new life. Without resistance, the seed would never sprout, never push upward toward the sunlight. Your hardest days played the same role. They pressed on you, yes, but they also pushed you to stretch, to rise, to become far more resilient than you ever imagined. Think back to each time suffering knocked on your door. You faced raw emotions, grief that hollowed your chest, anger that burned hot, fear that whispered lies. Part of you wanted to flee, blame, or simply collapse. But the moments you stayed present, when you paused, named the pain, and breathed anyway, those moments were hidden classrooms. You were quietly discovering your own capacity to heal. You found strengths you didn't know existed. The ability to keep breathing when hope felt thin, the courage to take one more step when the path blurred, the determination to reach for something brighter even while still in shadow. Buddhism calls this alchemy turning poison into medicine. Just as an adept healer transforms a toxic plant into a life-saving tonic, you turn hardship into insight, empathy, and a steadier inner peace. Your worst days humbled you, reminding you that not everything bends to your will. They opened your heart with compassion because now you understand firsthand how deep pain can cut, and you're gentler with others who bleed. They stretched your patience, teaching you that true healing is rarely instant. And when you finally stepped out of those dark tunnels, gratitude greeted you like fresh air, because everyday blessings suddenly gleamed brighter than before. So next time the past tempts you to cringe or feel regret, pause. Remember, each painful chapter helped shape today's wiser, kinder, tougher you. Without storm clouds, would you admire clear skies as deeply? Without stumbling, would you celebrate steady footing with the same joy? Without the valleys, would the mountain peaks feel as thrilling? Embrace your history as a seasoned teacher, not a lifelong enemy. Bow to every lesson, gentle or harsh, because in Buddhism, every moment of suffering carries a hidden invitation to awaken. Awaken to your own strength, your boundless compassion, and the unshakable peace that has always lived within you. 5. Not everything deserves a reaction. Life constantly offers us opportunities to respond, but not all of them are worth it. When someone insults us, when plans fall apart, or when self-doubt creeps in, our instinct is often immediate. React now, defend yourself, fix it fast. Our minds are wired to treat every challenge as a threat. One sharp comment, we fire one back. One inconvenience, we tense up, complain, or spiral into stress. But here's what Buddhism gently reminds us. Every reaction comes at a cost. With each impulsive reply, each emotional outburst, we give away a small piece of our inner peace. And if we respond to every disturbance, no matter how small, our energy becomes fractured, our focus scattered, our calmness drained, and our worry fed. Try visualizing your mind as a wide, peaceful lake. On a quiet day, a pebble lands, ripples form, and then stillness returns. But if that lake is already turbulent, even the lightest pebble causes waves that crash into each other, growing more chaotic by the second. This is exactly how a restless mind works. When it's already stirred by fear, resentment, or unresolved tension, even the smallest annoyance, a comment, a delay, a memory can explode into a storm. That's why Buddhist wisdom encourages us to create an inner stillness, a calm base that doesn't flinch at every ripple. This doesn't mean becoming numb or uncaring. It simply means learning to pause. In that pause, we gain space to breathe, to observe, and most importantly, to choose. And in that choice, we protect our peace. For instance, when someone speaks harshly to you, your instinct may scream, defend yourself, prove them wrong, shut them down. But if you pause, take one mindful breath, and just observe. What am I feeling? Is this really about me? You create the space to respond differently. Often, you'll see the hurtful words say more about the other person's pain than your own worth. And just like that, by not reacting, you keep your dignity and your calm. This isn't limited to arguments, it applies to daily stressors too. A long queue at the grocery store, a rude driver, your phone buzzing mid-thought. Do these small things deserve the power to control your body, to raise your heartbeat, tighten your chest, or sour your mood for hours? When we react to everything, we carry stress that isn't ours to hold. Buddhism teaches mindful awareness. When irritation rises, feel it. Don't shove it away or act on it. Just notice it, like a wave approaching. You can let it pass without being dragged under. A soft inner voice might whisper, "This is just a small moment. I don't need to feed it." And in that space, calm remains. Another subtle but powerful place where reactions steal, peace is the inner critic, that voice that picks apart every mistake and flaw. You miss a deadline, forget something important, or say the wrong thing, and suddenly that inner voice says, "You're a failure. You always mess things up." If you believe it and react with guilt or shame, the pain deepens. But what if, instead of reacting, you simply listened without believing? Buddhism teaches us to treat thoughts like passing clouds, temporary, not ultimate truth. That voice in your head is not your identity, and when you don't react to it, its grip weakens. Self-compassion grows in the space where self-judgment used to shout. Most triggers, whether outside or within, are temporary. They come, they go. If you practice staying grounded, you'll realize reacting to every minor disturbance is like trying to chase and grab every cloud in the sky. You'll only exhaust yourself and hold nothing. So start small. When anger flares or tension rises, place your hand gently on your heart. Breathe. Once, twice, 3 times. You can say, "This feeling is here, but I don't need to act on it right now." That pause becomes powerful. Over time, it becomes your habit. And even when the world around you is noisy, rushed, or unkind, you stay rooted in stillness. The more you practice discernment, knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't, the more peaceful your life becomes. You stop reacting to every tug on your attention. You conserve your emotional strength, and you build a steady core that even life's loudest storms cannot shake. 6. Reframe the problem as a path. When you're facing a crisis, whether it's a personal loss, failure, or an overwhelming challenge, it's natural to feel like the situation is something you must escape, defeat, or endure until it passes. It can seem like a dead end, like something standing between you and the life you imagined. In moments like that, we rarely think of pain as anything but an interruption. But Buddhism offers a new perspective, one that sees every difficulty not as an obstacle, but as a doorway to growth. Instead of treating problems as roadblocks to happiness, Buddhism encourages us to look again. These struggles, when faced with awareness, can become the very path that leads us toward understanding, clarity, and inner strength. The very things we want to avoid often hold the keys to our transformation. Imagine this. You're walking through a quiet forest when suddenly a large tree has fallen across your trail. Your first instinct might be frustration. You feel your journey has been blocked. You might even consider turning back. But if you stop, look closely, and explore around the trunk, you might discover a small opening beneath its branches. As you crawl through it, you find a new view. Sunlight cutting through leaves, a stream flowing nearby, wildflowers blooming in corners you wouldn't have seen otherwise. The tree didn't end your path, it reshaped it. It became part of the journey. This is what Buddhism means by turning poison into medicine. Even the most painful moments contain the possibility for healing if we're willing to shift our perspective. Let's take a real-life example. The end of a relationship. It's easy to view it as a collapse, a failure, or something to regret. But through Buddhist reflection, you can begin to ask deeper questions. What has this taught me about love, boundaries, communication, or self-worth? Instead of labeling it a loss, it becomes a lesson, a message about who you are, what you value, and where you want to grow next. Or consider a career setback. Instead of reacting with fear, ask, what skill or passion might I have overlooked until now? Is life redirecting me somewhere I wouldn't have gone on my own? The moment you shift from resistance to curiosity, something powerful changes. Your energy moves from fear to learning. Reframing doesn't mean pretending things are fine when they're not. It doesn't deny the pain, the confusion, or the tears. Rather, it means staying present with the discomfort long enough to ask, what is this here to teach me? Buddhism teaches that suffering often reveals our attachments, our clinging to outcomes, our fear of change, our aversion to uncertainty. And once we recognize those patterns, we begin to loosen their grip. When the Buddha faced painful questions about life, aging, and death, he didn't run or react impulsively. He sat still, watching reality unfold moment by moment. You can do the same. When a problem appears, take a breath. Notice the story your mind is telling. This is unfair. This is too much. I'll never get through this. Then gently interrupt that narrative by asking, is there another way to see this? What might this be revealing that I haven't noticed yet? With time, this practice becomes second nature. You learn to pause before reacting. You see patterns you once missed. You stop trying to get rid of the problem and instead start learning with it. Even something painful like loss, rejection, illness, or failure can become a sacred teacher if approached with awareness. This mindset helps you stop seeing life as a straight road with occasional bumps and more like a winding, living path, full of changes, detours, and hidden gifts. You stop being a victim of circumstances and begin to co-create your growth with them. Eventually, this becomes a way of living. When pain arises, you don't panic. You get curious. You lean in. You listen. You ask, what is life asking of me right now? In doing so, you reclaim your power, not by forcing life to match your plan, but by walking with grace, even when it doesn't. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, transformation through understanding. And in that space, worry begins to lose its grip, not because the problems go away, but because you've learned how to walk through them with courage and clarity. 7. Faith is the antidote to fear. Fear loves the unknown. Picture yourself at dusk, standing before a dense, shadow-filled forest. Your eyes can't pierce the darkness, so your mind rushes in to paint the scariest scenes it can imagine. Your heartbeat quickens, muscles tense. Instantly, you want to run. Buddhism names the antidote to this spiraling dread saddha, faith. Not a blind leap, but a quiet confidence forged from real experience. It is the lamp you carry when the trail ahead disappears from view. First, recognize how fear is born. The mind projects worst-case scripts onto a future it cannot control. What if I fail? What if everything falls apart? These mental movies feel vivid, but they are only stories on an empty screen. Faith interrupts the screening. It reminds you that you don't need to see the final scene to take the first step. How do you cultivate that trust? Begin small. Pause. Notice a single breath entering and leaving your body. Recall a moment, large or tiny, when life felt impossible, yet somehow you found a way through. The illness you recovered from, the breakup that pushed you toward greater self-respect, the financial squeeze that unlocked hidden creativity. Each memory is evidence. I've walked through storms before, I can keep walking now. By gathering these lived proofs, you feed the seed of faith until it sprouts strong roots. Importantly, faith is never built on slogans alone. It grows from direct experience. Think back to past crises. You didn't know the solution on day one, yet resources appeared. Your own grit, the timely advice of a friend, perhaps the unexpected kindness of a stranger. Those moments teach a powerful lesson. Help is possible. Resilience is real. Every recollection pours fresh water on the seed of confidence. Buddhism also strengthens faith through the insight of impermanence, anicca. Everything, emotions, circumstances, even the body you inhabit, changes moment by moment. No storm lasts forever. No wave holds the ocean. Knowing this, you can sit with today's fear more patiently because you understand its nature. It will crest, then pass. Accepting change doesn't mean passive surrender. It simply frees you from believing that this low point is permanent. Community deepens this trust. In early Buddhist times, practitioners gathered to hear the Buddha speak, to meditate together, to share victories and stumbles. Listening to stories of monks who remained calm in famine, or modern meditators who transformed grief into compassion, you realize you are not alone on the path. Their journeys whisper, "If they could find peace, perhaps I can too." Such examples plant sturdy hope. Remember though, faith is not wishful thinking without action. Effort and faith walk hand in hand. Each time fear tightens its grip, return to one mindful breath. Tell yourself, "I trust this practice to bring clarity." The very act of choosing awareness over panic reinforces the bridge between fear and confidence. Breath by breath, step by step, that bridge grows so solid that anxiety can no longer sweep you away. Whenever uncertainty shows its face, faith reshapes the entire conversation. Instead of treating fear as an enemy you must conquer, you begin to meet it as a quiet messenger, one that arrives to highlight the places where deeper trust, honesty, or wisdom still wait to grow. So the next time your stomach tightens, pause and ask, "What lesson is this fear offering me right now?" Maybe it's exposing an attachment you didn't see before, or an old worry that was left unspoken, or even a forgotten dream asking for renewal. Faith invites curiosity. It helps you lean gently into the message instead of sprinting away. Beneath the tremble, you might discover a longing for genuine purpose, a craving for community, or a yearning to align your choices with your truest values. That is why faith works as an antidote. It doesn't wave a wand and erase anxiety. Rather, it teaches a new response. Acknowledge fear, breathe with it, then step forward anyway. You trust that each mindful inhale, each grounded moment, will open just enough clarity for the next step. With practice, something remarkable happens. Fear loses its power to freeze you. It becomes a soft bell, reminding you to gather strength, call on wisdom, and walk boldly into the unknown. 7 lessons to carry forward. These ideas are more than philosophy. They are practical tools you can reach for whenever life feels unsteady. 1. Your thoughts are not always truths. Notice, question, and release the stories that do not serve you. 2. The present moment is all you truly possess. Anchor to breath, sensation, and simple awareness. 3. Control is limited, but response is unlimited. Choose your attitude. Let outcomes unfold. 4. Every pain has forged resilience. Draw courage from the strengths your past already built. 5. Not every ripple deserves a splash. Save your energy for what genuinely matters. 6. Each challenge hides a lesson. Reframe obstacles as signposts along the path. 7. Faith, rooted in past victories and the truth of impermanence. Steady your heart when fear returns. As these teachings take root, you shift from feeling at the mercy of circumstances to standing steady inside your own wisdom. Worry may still knock, but it no longer has to unpack its bags. You learn to sit with the unknown, breathe through it, and move ahead with calm assurance. Whenever life grows heavy, return to these principles. Read them slowly, reflect on them deeply, and let them guide you back toward peace. Even in the hardest seasons, your heart can stay open, your mind clear, and your spirit quietly grow. Thank you for spending this time with Buddhism Seeds. If these reflections resonated, please subscribe, tap like, and share this video with someone who might need a lighter heart today. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop a thoughtful comment below about which lesson spoke loudest to you.